There's one more thing I wanted to say about the inside of the cavity. The workmanship is very nice. Nicely bundled. The bridge, I should say the bridge. The jack is like right there, close to the edge. You can actually see it. Nice that you can do that. If there's a problem with it, you can just kind of like press it over a little bit very nicely so you get a nice tight fit. So yeah, they did a nice job. Soldering is pretty good. Okay, that's all I wanted to say, is that except for the crud in here that I cleaned up, it's very clean, and workmanship is very nice on that cavity. One of the best I've seen. Okay, we're at bench 2, and as promised, here's the new schematic. So that involves this new 24 contact super switch, which is 4 times as many as there is on a regular switch. You know, the switching combinations of what's hooked up to what is a little more time consuming than the single one with only about 6 contacts, 5 contacts, 4 contacts on it, depending if it's a 3 or a 4-way or a 5-way. So anyway, this is what it should end up looking like if I can make it work. It's going to be the super switch. Here are the 2 Fralin resistors that would be working when just this switch is in operation. And the other 2 Fralin resistors would be down here, which I haven't drawn in yet. Since I thought about them, and that when this switch, the tone pot, yeah, when the tone pot gets pulled to do a split, then it sends this through the Fralin resistor here up there and goes that way to ground, as opposed to from this ground going through the switch and then that way to ground. And that's why I need 2 sets of Fralin resistors to have equivalent sound from each one of the coils, whether it's being split by the super switch or by the push-pull switch. I put a 33 here. I'm not sure it'll be that just yet. So what we've got is just 2 standard volume pots. I'll keep the one that's in there. I've got a nice alpha to add if I can put the big one, or I've got a small one as well. I've got many small ones that I can use. So basically it goes from each pickup directly to pin 2 on the pots. It comes out on pin 1 and goes to the switch for being able to be switched. And then depending on where you put it, it ends up switching it, and you get this segment of switching. So with the 5-way switching alone, in the bridge position, of course, you get 2 humbuckers. If you go to the next position, which here it's called 4, but I call it 2, you'll get the inner coil, outer coil. In the middle, you'll get humbucker, humbucker. In that position, which is the number 4 for me, it'll be outer coil, inner coil, and then in the neck position, it'll be full neck. Now, when you pull the tone pot, what's going to happen is that you're going to get one of these coils, the inner coil, taken off. So you get the outer coil only, so it's a single coil in the neck position. In the middle position, it takes out the inner coil again, so then you end up with only the lower outer coil on the bridge on. Then in the middle position, what happens is you end up taking out the 2 inner coils and you end up with the 2 outer coils alone. And then this is a copy of what happens up here. Because of the position of the coils that are on with this one, again, this is a copy, so you take out the inner coil there, and you end up with one of those. And that's why I've marked these as copies. So the only other unique one here is this set and that. So you get 5, 6, 7, 8 different combinations between the super switch and the push-pull switch with 2 copies. So that's the way it's going to work, I think. After spending copious amounts of time with the switching diagram, I had a previous one that didn't work out very well. So that one's gone. So I have protected the neck with a pile of stuff because I don't want to take it off now that I've got it set properly. And I like it like that. Let's see. And a big coil. Can you see down there? You can't see down there. I'm thinking these are a bit stiff. They're really tight. Let's see. Can I get a big pot in there? I can. I can absolutely do that. And that would put it right about here. Let me see if I can get it not over there, but maybe over this way a bit. And that way it would make a nice triangle between the two on the front. Yeah. So that can be done with the big one. For the little one, for sure, I can just about place that anywhere I want. But I will try to go with the big one first. But since I know that's going to work, the other thing I want to do is take a look at this super switch. Ooh, that's going to be really close, eh? Yeah. So I'm going to drop this thing out and slip it in there and see how close that is to that pot. I think there's going to be a separation, but we'll just give it a shot. Have to pull. Oh, damn! Sometimes these things are on there so hard, or tight. It's hard to get them off. Oh, even the knobs are hard. Oh, bloody hell! All right. I'm going to have to struggle with that. Okay, they made a fool out of me. Look, it's the ones with the screws. It's a 2mm set screw. Oh my. Oh my. Oh my, oh my. There's always something that has to go wrong. It's touching the pot. I'm going to have to go to a small one. Can I turn it around and still make it work? Okay, I could turn it around, but if I turn it around, it means all the wiring has to come around this side. That's not so nice. That's not so nice. I really usually like to have my wafers go towards the inside where the wiring can come in this way. Darn. And it's only touching this common down here. Dude. Don't think I can have that because I need both those commons, and that common would go to the jack and the tone pot. So I'm going to have to go with a small dime there, and maybe I could put the larger one over here, or just 2 dimes. 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, otherwise I can't use the super switch and then none of that works. But I want to try that. Alright, turn on the soldering station and get ready to do all of that work. Okay, so this is where we're at right now I kind of built a little template by putting that in there and then choosing the distance between those two to be even. Made a little spot there where I'll make a drill hole that I will then drill out from the other side to be careful not to do anything bad to the finish. The finish on this seems thin and I don't think it's going to chip or flake. I'm very, very, very careful, and that's close enough that I can actually use my drill press. And what I did with that is, then I transferred it onto here, and I'm going to make all my interconnections for these parts, and eventually this one, on here. Then I'll take them off and just pop them in there, and then I'll have to hook up the other parts, like that. So this will be kind of like just bench work on this little piece of cardboard template. I've decided on no Fralin resistor for the neck because I remember when I split the neck, it didn't seem as thin. It went about halfway, whereas the bridge dropped what I would say at least 2/3 of its output. So what I'm going to do with that one is I'm going to put a 2.7K resistor here and here. So there'll only be two of them in there, and they'll only work with the bridge coils. Try to help them out. Okay, I'm going to move this guitar, and I'm going to work on this part with the schematic. Alright, so I've got the wiring done here. You're hearing the sump pump running in the background here. We just had a nice storm outside. So I've got the wiring done. I've left leads long because this is not to scale. This actually has to go more up this way. So I've left these ends open, and I'll trim them and adjust them when I put them in the body. And that'll be the next step, is to insert stuff in the body and start doing those interconnections. Alrighty, the wiring cavity is completed. Everything is in where it should be. The front has 2 volume pots and 1 master tone. This is the only white tip I have. I don't have one that looks like a Telecaster. I have a cream one, but it doesn't match the pickups. So the back cavity covers can be put on. I'm going to have to do some waxing. I did not remove these strings yet. I'm going to measure them. I'm pretty sure that feels like a 9. So I'm going to do some waxing as well before I put the covers on, clean them up. I'm going to do the best I can on the front since I didn't remove all the stuff. I did run into a problem in the front trying to set up these pickups, and when I take the strings off, which will be after I do the showing you of all the different combinations. Maybe I won't even have to. But inside the pickups, I was wondering why can't I get it to come up, and the springs underneath here are not strong enough to bring the pickup up. When I loosen the screw, it just kind of bounces down. And in this side, the routing is not wide enough for the tab, and it's catching on the rough edges in there, even though there is a spring on that side. This one, the spring is working on this side, not so much on that side, and still the tab is catching in the corner. So I am going to have to take those pickups out after the string removal, get the corners of the tabs down a little bit, which is what my choice will be to solve the problem, and maybe just run some sandpaper down lightly inside the cavity, because I don't want to use a Dremel or anything that might end up chipping up and taking surface off the front of the guitar. So I'm going to avoid that. So I'm going to go work on the metals first and try to get some springs underneath there that will work. The tab on this side is also not wide enough. It wasn't well cut. And you know, except for that, The rest of this guitar is pretty good. Pretty good. The rest of it is pretty good. Didn't find anything else really. Oh, and in the bottom down here, I did do my little trick with the gold copper. You can see it. Yeah, I ran that underneath all the front face of the pots. That makes my common ground between them, so that I don't have to run extra jumpers. And I've seen people, you know, shield the entire inside cavity. This has got paint, but listen, the paint is a very high insulation resistance. It's not like a Faraday cage. A Faraday cage is 0, okay? Everywhere you measure, it's 0 ohms. So I've seen people shield an entire either pick guard or cavity like this, and then when you do that and you stick your pots in, well, they're all being commonly grounded if you ground that. But then I see them also doing the extra jumpering between the pots, which is what we call a ground loop, and you don't want that. That usually tends to cause noise. So you want to stay away from doing stuff like that, in my opinion.